No one, and I mean no one listening to this song, will be able to get this out of their head for the next 2 days. One of the things that I love about you that you guys have been doing for years that I somehow joined in on.
You are so.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming up later on the show,
Johnny Carson introducing obscure NBA players who will later be coming on the show and performing.
Jorge Mirasan will be taking a shit in a bucket and then dumping it on Ed. It's called a dirty Jorge.
Later on the show, Vinny the Microwave Johnson will be farting in my mouth.
Stay with us. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf will be standing on American flag giving someone a golden shower.
Stay tuned. We've got Yingadare sucking the dick of Vinny Del Negro.
He rest in peace.
I miss the innocence I've known. Playing Kiss covers, beautiful and stone.
Heavy metal drummer. It's by Wilco off their 2001 album Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, and it's number 493 out of 500 on the 500 with Josh Adam Myers. And that's me. Even though you can't recognize my voice, it is your host, Josh Adam Myers. I know right now there's like people listening that are like, Josh, swallow. Just swallow. You got phlegm in your throat. I don't have phlegm in my throat. I'm sick, everybody. And I lost my voice. So we're going to make this one short and sweet. Thank you guys for tuning in to the only podcast that goes through Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums. And we start at 5 Honey, and we're working our way down to numero uno over the next 9.61 years. So we're down to the final episodes, guys. You only got 492 more episodes to go. Thank you, everybody, for your comments about the Gareth Reynolds episode. It was so much fun to tape. That dude is hysterical. I love him to death, and I love all of you for listening. This week's guests are my blood brothers in comedy. One of the best comedy duos I have ever seen, the Sklar brothers. I can never say their name right. Sklar brothers. Randy and Jason are the hosts of the widely successful podcast Dumb People Town that they co-host with Daniel Van Kirk. They also have Views from the Cheap Seats. They also have a brand new special on Stars called Hipster Ghosts. Guys, two of the funniest guys I know. I have such a connection with them. So it was an honor to get them on to tape this album because they are so impacted by Wilco Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Don't forget to stay to the end of the episode, guys, where I spotlight a new artist that was directly influenced by Wilco. Also, rate, review, and most importantly, please subscribe to the 500. Follow me at Josh Adam Myers on all social media. Email the podcast at 500podcast.com. And for all things 500, go to our website, the500podcast.com. I want to talk more, but let's just get to the podcast. So without further ado, here we go with number 493 out of 500 with Yankee Hotel Foxtrot by Wilco. The Sklar brothers. I'm sitting down with the Sklar brothers. The Sklar brothers. Sklar. Usually people join in when I'm singing their name.
You know what? So, can I be honest with you guys? Because
Yes,
I've for the
please.
longest time, I love you guys so much, but I constantly want to say Sklar.
Which, okay, so the brief story
Yeah.
of that and why you're right. And
You're
we're gonna
correct to say
we're gonna
that.
tell you why your instincts are correct
Please.
and who else believes it should be that way, and it will make you feel more emboldened with your claim. Jason.
I had to make a pee, and I was near a store called James Purse, a very expensive
Oh, I know the store. It's on Highland.
There is one on Highland, and there's also one on Melrose over near like Dantana's and near the
Okay.
Troubadour. So I go in and I come out of the bathroom. There's no one in the store but one person. There's shopkeeper. I know that's not what they call it, but there's a woman who's working
Shopkeep.
at the store. and then there's Denzel fucking
Motherfucking Washington.
in the store. So I don't know. I'm like, I gotta talk to this dude because like, when am I ever gonna see Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
We strike up a conversation. We're just talking about the stuff. He's like, have you had these shirts before? He actually started talking to me. I was like, yeah, I got one of these things for a birthday. Start rapping. We talk about football. We talk about sports. We talk about
His son plays sports.
And I was like, my brother and I did a show on ESPN. He's like, yeah, I remember that show. He's like, what are your names again? And I'm like, we're the Sklar brothers. And he just looked at me and he was like, the Sklar brothers.
The Sklar. Like, there is not another syllable, but there fucking is now.
You just added a syllable, Denzel Washington.
brothers.
I was like, I suddenly was like, do I have to play basketball to get you out of prison? What is going on right now?
Oh my God!
It was so beautiful.
And I'm really
Jesus, don't cry, Shuttlesworth.
I can't believe that none of you have given me
The Marcin Gortat shirt?
No, this isn't a Gortat. This
That
is
is
a
George
Murasan.
George Murasan. My
Like
giant.
Lego Murasan.
He's your
shirt.
giant.
Because one of the things that I love about you that you guys have been doing for years that I somehow joined in on.
You are so.
Which
Ladies and
is
gentlemen, coming up later on the show,
Johnny Carson introducing obscure NBA players who will later be coming on the show and performing. as
Jorge
sexual acts.
Murasan will be taking a shit in a bucket and then dumping it on Ed. It's called a dirty Jorge.
Later on the show, Vinny the Microwave Johnson will be farting in my mouth.
Stay with us. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf will be standing on American flag giving someone a golden shower.
Stay tuned. We've got Yingadare sucking the dick of Vinny Del Negro.
May he rest in peace. I was going to say both of them may they rest in peace. I know Vinny Del Negro is not dead.
Nel Degra.
Nel Negro. Vinny Del Negro is not dead. I just want him to get a good night's sleep.
Let's get into the history of you guys with your taste in music
Sure.
because I we're gonna bring up this term later, but there's a term that Jeff Tweedy hates that he classifies his music. People classify his music as dad rock.
Yeah.
And
I hate that.
Yeah, but I kind of
Okay.
you guys once sent me a clip of Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh,
I mean,
no,
like,
I sent
the
you Jethro
goddamn
Tull. Him
band
43. It's a
flip.
great.
Hang on to hell.
Your Father art in heaven.
Well, tell me about. So, I mean, you guys you're born in St. Louis, right?
Born in St. Louis.
So tell us
heavily-
about your.
yeah.
So we grew up in the 80s. We're 46, almost 47, and so
heavily influenced
came
by
of age like when Boston was big and when
Journey. What I love about Journey is on the Evolution album they had Love and Touch and Squeezin' into City of the Angels.
Can you imagine just like that title is just so #me too, and it's like nobody's calling out any of this. Love and touch and squeeze.
That's the song that they played when Brett Kavanaugh was sworn in. So, so our attitude was like we loved classic rock. That's what we grew up on. Like Memorial Day weekend, we would just listen to like the greatest classic rock songs of all time, and it would be the same top 10. So our first concert we ever went to was in 1982, Loverboy and Joan Jett, which I would say go back and listen to. Reno fucking lays out on every single song.
Is this Loverboy?
Loverboy.
Yeah. I just don't know him. I know Joan Jett, but
working
it's
for
like,
the weekend.
I do know that. No. I probably if you played the song,
Turn Me Loose
don't know
is
that one.
Oh my God.
Maybe
Turn Me Loose.
Sing
is
it.
fun.
How's it go?
Why don't you turn me loose?
Peter, play a little bit of "Turn Me Loose."
I gotta do it my way. No way at all.
Jesus,
Anyway,
I know. Please don't
crushed
play
it.
it,
I was
Peter.
here
Don't
to
play.
please.
All right, people have already turned off the podcast to how bad we are.
All right, listen here. So we got really into reggae music, like Bob Marley, deep into Bob Marley.
I thought you said Reagan music.
Reagan.
I was like, what is Ronald Reagan music?
Reagan
a
era
lot of-
rock.
Oh, the trickle down theory. It's the trickle down theory.
Brady got shot in the head. So check out all the supply side economics.
Tear down that wall. Tear down that wall.
Mr.
Trickle
Gorbachev.
down theory.
I'm a little Hinkley. I'm a little Hinkley.
Duck for your life. Duck. Take him to the Naval Hospital before he dies. Duck. Jesus Christ, is too much.
the
What was
Hink-
the album we have to do today?
the Hinckley Chronicles. This is another thing that sort of informed our musical taste. We went up to Canton, Ohio, where our mom's parents lived, and then our uncle and aunt and uncle lived across the street from them. And aunt and uncle had cable long before we had cable, or anybody we knew
Sure,
had cable
yeah.
TV.
It's like 80.
81, 82, like so, and they had MTV. They had MTV at their house, and I remember turning it on, and we would watch whatever 20 videos were in rotation. There were only like
We'd
20.
watch for like 3 hours.
3
at a
hours
time.
straight. So
Yeah.
we'd watch Love Is a Battlefield, the Tom Petty, You Got Lucky, like that.
Yeah, well, you're watching like the beginning of it. Yeah.
ABC,
MTV.
Look of Love.
Yeah.
Like I just remember being in our aunt and uncle's house and watching all of those videos over and over again and thinking to myself, this is amazing. So that kind of propelled us into college.
Then we moved to New York, and we started to lean towards our buddy who we lived with, Eric Friedman, a great dude, a writer out here in L.A. He worked for his college radio station. And in his college radio station, he
Which is always great because like they had access to music that a
all
lot
the
of people
alt music that like great stuff that we started to like really dig into, and we started to our taste started to change. Like I remember I had a girlfriend when I went to Israel who got me into the Jayhawks. So the Jayhawks were a band out of Minneapolis that I started to love.
And then the Judy Bats,
Oh,
good at
Being Simple.
being simple. I mean, it was a great. So that kind of
This sounds like music that like a professor smokes a joint and then grades like philosophy essays.
nothing wrong with that. I'm in. You,
Oh, God.
I
I
love
love to
everything
read.
you just said.
If a tweed jacket could be an album,
Yeah,
that's
so
what
that
it
would be it. So we were listening to that in New York, and we were kind of like that opened the door for us to listen to the country rock.
So we got a little bit into AM. Isn't that the first
Wilco
Wilco
album? And that's not the first one, but like
Box Full of Letters, that song, and a few other songs that we kind of got
So
into.
you were on right from the beginning with
We were a
Wilco,
little
in
bit
sense.
into it.
Like,
Uncle, someone's like, you got to do Uncle Tupelo.
Tupelo.
You got to check it out. Screen Door. We listened to that song, and there was a rawness to it, and it's only we can explain it because we went to a public high school in St. Louis. There were a lot of hicks in our school, a lot of dirtbags and burnouts, and a lot of kids who lived in like split level townhomes.
Sure.
Who for whatever reason, those were our friends. Like some were going somewhere and some weren't going anywhere. We were just in the mix with like all these people whose lives, divorced parents, they were never around, guys smoking tons of shit and like skateboarding in the afternoon. Nothing wrong with it, but just it was classic high school, public high school. And so when I heard the Uncle Tupelo, I'm like, oh, this is like if like Scott Denner and Denny Shea and Paul Saffa and this guy, they all got together and they made a band and then they did this like they're singing about shit that's kind of like the attitudes of the kids that we grew
Hung
up
out
with
with.
and understood. And so
But then there was this little bit of edge, which obviously was coming from Tweety,
Yeah.
that was pushing the envelope into an alternative space. It wasn't just straightforward like
this is where we
alt
go.
country.
We're going tubing down the Merrimack River. It wasn't all just about songs like that. Whereas Jay Farrar, love his voice, a little bit deeper, much more
heard him for
straightforward.
years, but I've never,
Do you know
never
the
actually
song?
listened
Okay,
to him.
so
Drown
Drown
by
by
Sunvolt.
Sunvolt.
Another band that it's like I've
Okay.
heard of Uncle Tupelo. I've heard of Sunvolt, especially when doing the research for this. It just was like, oh, I knew they were
So
connected.
Sunvolt,
I just
like
didn't know
Drown,
how.
The Picture, and Loose String. Those three songs on that album are just fantastic. He's super talented musically, but there was something going on with Tweety that was a
Tweety
little bit
just
different.
kind of had a little something else.
Sure, no, and I believe that too.
So then in 2001, 2002, I think is when
This album comes out.
Is when this
well,
album.
let's get started with that, all right? Because you brought us up to it. So our album is number 493 out of 500, and it is Wilco's 2002 release, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. All songs were written by Jeff Tweedy and Jay Bennett. All lyrics were written by Jeff Tweedy. Jeff Tweedy?
Jeff Tweedy?
Tweedy.
Jeff Tweedy?
Jeff, you mean Jeff Tweedy? Jeff Tweedy. And the album was self-produced. It was mixed by Jim O'Rourke, but it was self-produced. So
Well, the story of the album is quite amazing because
is.
they were paid to do the album.
Yes.
They made their money to do the album. Then they delivered the album.
The
and
label
their-
did not like
label
the
said
album.
we don't like the album, and they dumped it.
yes.
And it looked like they made a great documentary called "I'm Trying to Break Your Heart" about that. This
which is the
period of
first
time.
track on
Which,
the album.
which I would say, I think this is a double album because you have to watch that movie to really appreciate this record. But before we get into all of that, did you think Wilco was going to be going into what they're calling an experimental direction? Because I didn't think this was experimental at first. When I was talking to one of my producers about this, I was like, "How is this experimental?"
There's
It's
two or
just
three
alt
moments.
country.
Well, there are two or three
No,
moments.
you listen
But
to it.
then when you listen to, but this is the thing is that you have have to go back. You have to listen to Summertime. You have to listen to
Summer
Be There.
Teeth, yeah.
Summer Teeth. You have
yeah.
to listen to
Yeah.
Being There.
Being
There
there,
has-
You have to listen to-
Being There has some
being there
moments
kind
like-
of being there ramped to.
There's
to
a couple
this.
moments.
Yeah, so you guys were already into them
Yeah.
with those two records. So now, what were you expecting, and what did you get when
That's
the
a
first time
great
you
question.
heard this record?
Fucking great
So
question.
so here's the thing with a Wilco record, which you start to realize, and what I love is that, at first I liked certain moments in the record. It's almost like the record is like an ocean, and the moments I like were little islands throughout the ocean. And I'm like, I like this song, I like this. I don't like how this ends. It's so discordant and really difficult to listen to, and it's just feedback. And why did they do this?
I call those moments the moments at which my then wife, because I was only married for 1 year, I'm like, these are the moments where my wife jumps off.
Or where your wife's like not paying attention to what's going on in the car, and she's like, "What are we
the
listening?
fuck? What
to?
is going on? What the fuck
are we listening
Turn
to
this
right now?"
shit off, for Christ's sake. And like, all she hears is like,
And then it goes right to heavy metal drummer.
Right, but so there were a lot of beautiful songs and beautiful moments that they would then destroy with like discordant chaos, and what was hard at the beginning, it's very hard to just sit down and just listen to the album because it challenges you
Very much.
And then what happens over time is the more you listen to it, the more those parts become part of the whole, and the islands become a long isthmus, and then it becomes like this whole thing that you can listen to start to finish, and they make you work for it, and then you earn it, and then when you earn it, you realize how much you actually love it and how much those parts were part of Tweedy's, and Jay Bennett was part of the way they were feeling. They they wanted to make something beautiful and then destroy it at the end.
because
because
they were
that's what
just
they were
going
feeling
through
inside.
shit. Well, but the truth of the matter for me is when I heard it at first,
I brought it over to your house. I bought it at Amoeba Records. I brought it over to Randy's apartment that he was living with his wife on Sycamore Avenue.
Oh, so you're already out in LA at this point?
Yeah, we're out
okay.
in LA because we came out in '99.
So Randy and I remember listening over at his house and being like, God, really digging some of the songs and some of the melodies, but saying, this is difficult.
For me, it was a Wilco album where I was like, God, I heard like Jesus, etc. I heard Camera.
And those are the ones that you're saying that stuck out right away?
Yes, right away. They were
Really?
and, like
Totally
to me,
different- totally
to me,
different-
Pot Kettle Black.
Yes.
Heavy metal drummer, Pot
Yes.
Kettle Black.
I'm the Man Who Loves You sounded like a Beatles song to me, and something that I totally loved.
There are
And
three
the first
songs.
one.
No.
Go
So
ahead.
you go. No, I was going to say to join with you is that you're naming the songs that you got drawn to first. I actually pulled back from, and then I found that heavy metal drummer. I'm the Man That Loves You, and
Pot
then
Kettle
Pot
Black.
Kettle Black.
Yeah.
Just like I felt like, and even the last two, even though they're sad, they're like they still just reservations. It's just so it just moves me. So I was more attracted to the poppier stuff, the other sad stuff.
I think we were younger and we just didn't like. I don't know.
I just kind of was like, for me, the very first time I listened to an album, I'm like, what is the most complete song that I can latch onto the quickest? And maybe
Sure.
that's not smart, but like,
no, it's
No,
almost
that's
like
what we all do. It's
It's
just
almost
we-
like you're falling down a hole and you're just reaching for a toe holder and a grab to like, where you can
100%.
connect with this album.
Yes, you couldn't have said that any better.
So
because
this song. Now I'm here. Now this is how.
Yeah,
I'm
and then you
connected.
listen to this one
and
over
you start
and
climbing
over,
up,
and then
you start
you're-
climbing
and
up
then you
over
just-
that song.
yeah.
and you're
and so
into
it truly, I was like, God, there are a lot of, and I love the Wilco albums before. Being There especially, there are whole chunks of Being There that I can listen to all the way through. Then there's a couple of songs where I'm like, I don't love this song. But like in Summer Teeth, maybe less songs that I loved and they were further apart. I just remember this album the first time I heard it, I was like, okay, this is special. This is really interesting, and there are a lot of songs that I want to kind of dig into. And I started to listen to it more.
and the lyrics start coming forward. More like to me, I listen for melodies first, and then I start connecting with lyrics.
I have to listen to it several times.
Dude, I am trying to break your heart. That is, to me, that is like everything that Jeff Tweedy is in that song and in those lyrics. Like he's a musician,
outlining-
as an artist, he's trying to break your heart as a
Yeah.
listener.
And he does.
And
And
he
he does.
does.
Also, like, what I love about it is just that simple phrase, I'm trying to break your heart. Nobody, if you've been in a relationship with anybody, nobody ever is like, I'm going to fuck you up. I'm about to break your heart.
And then to follow that line with, still I'd be lying if I said it wasn't easy. Meaning this is what I do. This is the currency I trade in. I trade in breaking people's hearts. That's what I do best. I'd be lying to you if I said it wasn't a snap. do this to you.
I am trying to break.
Okay,
your
well
heart.
let's ask you this question from that song.
Yeah.
Is there a relate? Because this is about a tumultuous relationship that he ended because of how he fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a relationship that you know that you were the reason everything fucked up? That crashed.
Yeah. Yes. There were plenty of relationships. Yes.
Yeah. There was a point in time right before I met my wife, okay, back in 97. I've been with my wife now so long. It's insane. But like there were relationships I had with people where I knew I was like, this is not going anywhere. This is fun. This is great. And I knew the other person like wanted to bump it up. And I was just like, I am not there.
Yeah.
And part of me was like, I should just tell this person goodbye because that's what they want. It's not what I want. But I was like, fuck it, I'm just having too much fun and this is too enjoyable and
You're
I'm
comfortable, and
Right.
it's also you might have dogs together.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I mean, I can tell you one. I was 23, and I met this woman who was great, and I connected with her so much. Her mother had just died like a month before, and she was living in her mom's apartment up in New York, and I just remember I was like, this. I'm 23. All I want to do is really have fun and just be a dumb young person.
I mean, that's a heavy relationship to be in at such a
But
young
it's
age.
too much.
She
Yeah,
wanted
it's too
she
much.
wanted so much more. Maybe I was 24, but it was like she wanted
Even
so
24.
much more, and I knew in my heart that I was going to break her heart because we were connected. We connected big time, and like she wanted someone to instantly be in her life and be a support system for her and be there for her, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and even
Sad.
and so like knowing that and then still calling her.
That is what this song is about, and it to me it like even like those two there are like two melodic like piano riffs that start to overlap in this song. Ding ding. Even just the top of the song, it feels like they're turning on all the equipment.
Pete, play a little bit of the fucking
Pete.
song for me. Pete's there somewhere.
Doesn't it feel like they're turning the lights on in the studio?
Oh yeah.
I just love it. It's like an overture to the album when it comes on at the beginning. And there's something, I mean, what I love about this in this song too, and this is another reason, like as a comedian, I love this. Somewhere in the middle, as the song's winding down and it's just chaos at the end, he shouts out, "I'm the man who loves you." Okay, so in this whole song, he's telling you, I'm going to break your heart. I'm trying to break your heart. I'm trying to break your heart. Then he sings
At the very end, which is maybe the most
heartbreaking
thing
part of
ever,
it
is like I'm pulling you back into this relationship by saying
I'm the man who loves you, which is
Yeah.
a tease to a song that's going to come up 8 songs later. As a comedian, sometimes we drop moments and then later in the act, it's a callback.
Sure.
And
he's almost doing a callback on his album.
but how beautiful is that? Like there are certain albums are worlds unto themselves. I think like the Hold Steady, Boys and Girls in America, and certainly the one Separation Sunday. Like those are albums. Separation Saturday. Sorry. Those are the albums that they create this universe and characters that keep popping up in songs and moments that come back to you. And I'm like, that you just did. This isn't just a collection of songs that you wrote in the last year. This is
as we put together, and we all do, like we've now done 2 hours and we're working on our 3rd hour. We've done 2 half-hour stand-up specials.
done 5 albums.
You work hard to craft the material so that the set has a flow and makes sense, and you want people to listen to your album and like listen to it all the way through, because there's a point at which like, hey, the set's supposed to go up here and then down it's like kind of here, it's middling around here, and then it goes really here. You want there to be those peaks and valleys in that thing to give the audience a second to catch their breath and then go into something new and something
Completely,
different.
yeah, I
Because if
completely
you just
agree.
kill him every moment, it's great. It's awesome. And there are some things that just
Like
completely-
David Tell, Skanks for the Memories is
just
39 minutes of just
destruction, out and out destruction.
But I don't think you could do that for an hour and 10. You'd be tired at like 55.
And the audience would be tired, and I don't know if they could handle it. Maybe, but like,
Well, even like you're watching some of the great comics now that are like that always crush. It's like it's like it builds, hugest laugh, and then they restart, and
They
it goes right
restart
down.
up
So
the-
you have to, because I've never seen anybody just
that's what this album
This
does.
album, what it does sometimes is it it gives you like an intense song that's hard to listen to. That's
I see what you're saying.
sad, and, then you give a light song.
And then it goes into Camera. But is Camera really a light song?
No,
'Cause
melodically it is.
Lyrically,
it
I
is
need a
not.
camera for my eye.
Yeah.
To my eye.
To my eye.
I thought this is a super catchy song. I want to play. Pete, play 25 seconds in.
Check was below. I've counted out the days to see how far I've driven in the dark. Echoes in my heart.
Just that little
Yeah.
part right there.
Yeah,
That's,
God,
that's
that
that little
Organ.
fucking
It's
organ.
an organ tickle. That organ tickle at that point again shows you how layered this music.
But
really
this is what is funny about this song is I respect what you guys are saying about the peaks and the valleys, you know what I mean, going up and down.
yeah.
But this is actually a song about asking for help.
Yes. Right.
It's about his family who he mistreats or who retreats to when he can't handle himself by himself. So he's using his family as a bailout and a way to
Also,
give
I
them
need
responsibility.
I need a camera to my eye.
I need someone to
I
show
can't
me
trust. I can't trust the way I'm seeing the world. That I need someone to take a picture of it so you can see what it is.
Well,
because I'm not trustworthy.
So I read this online and I really dig this. 'Cause, you know the line, and no, it's not okay. So
yeah.
you just have to imagine the person on the other end of the phone being like, "Is everything okay?" And he's like,
and no, it's
so
not
he's
o-
literally saying how he's like, "Dude, I'm fucked. I need your help." Okay, here's the
And
question.
he repeats, "No, it's not,
Not
okay.
okay.
It becomes a mantra at the end of the song.
Okay, which one of you is more likely to ask for help when you actually need it, and why?
I would say me.
yeah.
I think I am more likely to.
So, Randy, are you stubborn? Are you more of like a?
I think I have this idea that, and I got to get away from it, but where like I got it, I got to handle it for everybody. I got to handle this. I got to shoulder everything for everybody. I got to take on this, and I got to take on that because I'm strong enough to do it. And you just got to like nose to the grindstone and just get it done, and don't ask for help because there are other people around me that need help. And so if I'm going to ask for help, that's going to fuck them
I
up a little
understand that.
bit. And
No.
so like I need to.
Yeah, there's like a tiny piece of that feels like a little bit selfish to ask for help, to be like, I can't do this.
Have you ever had a moment, guys, where you had to where you called the parents and were like, we're really in deep shit. Like, we're fucked. We need your help.
Yes, I asked, and I'm sad about this, and to admit this is really sad. Like, to help pay my bills this year because of what's been happening, I asked my mom to help me with some money this year. I'm 46 years old. I have kids. Like, to call home and ask my mom to help cover something to make it work was humiliating.
Of course, I guess. I mean,
I'm a father. To not be able to handle that was, but I knew I needed the help, and I knew that I wasn't going to do it on my own, and I had exhausted every possible way. And I told my mom, I'm going to pay you back, even though I knew maybe there's a way I might
Sure.
not. And I
And then you, as a
asked-
parent, we have kids. We'd be like, if our kids ever asked us for anything, we'd be like, yeah, of course.
So my
Don't
mom,
even ask.
I didn't realize that I was giving my mom the gift of being able to say, I can help you, and she could.
Which
but
that is the other side of it, is that people
yeah.
do want to help. When people come to me and ask me, I need help for whatever reason.
It's
Can you
like
help
a
me with this?
gift.
dude, I'm like, my mom is continuously helped me out.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I'm out here still. And I hated asking. But then on the flip side, I'm on my mom's phone plan, and I'm going to be on that shit till that woman dies.
Yes.
Like, I'm riding that gravy train.
And she's
till
but
the end.
so as parents of kids,
You
what
have-
we can tell
yeah.
you is that when you have moments where you don't feel great, because I remember hanging up the phone with my mom when I asked for the money and crying because I felt terrible that I just was like, I can't believe that it's come to this point, when in many ways I do feel like successful, and I do feel like we're doing everything we can, and we're working as hard as we can. But I was like, that was a very hard moment for me. But on the other side, I look at my kids and I'm like Randy said, if your kids ask you for something and you can provide it, you feel like you're fulfilling your duty as a parent on this earth, and you'll always be their parent until you die. And so I think in your situation, your mom probably feels joy in knowing that.
I don't every time I've had to call my mom for money, I get yelled at for 5 minutes, and then All right, I'm sending it. All right.
Right, but
I
that's
don't
her-
have the money, Josh. You're bleeding me dry.
I imagine
I
your
have
mom has
nothing.
the
All right.
same voice as you.
She does. I
Yeah.
swear to God. She's like, Josh. She's like, what are you
Josh.
calling me for? You need money again?
A lot of courage for Jeff Tweedy to do a song about how he needs help.
And something beautiful about the fact that the song, in many ways, certainly at the the beginning into the middle of it, and I think it ends actually. Doesn't it end pretty? I don't know how. The
And
end-
no, I'm not okay.
Okay.
Boom. And then it just
So
play the
instead of-
ending.
So it just kind of ends, there isn't like the discord and the difficulty come in the lyrics of this song. It just ends naturally, and then the next song is more of a slow, deep.
It's not my
deep,
favorite
tough.
song. This was a hard one to listen to. This for the past 2
So
weeks.
he's saying,
Cheer up, honey. Yeah.
Cheer up, honey. I hope you can.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
yeah.
My mind's filled with silvery stars, honey kisses, clouds of fluff, which is this is a song about his alcoholism or about an alcoholic.
Yep.
And I really didn't like this one. This was a hard one for me to really dive into. Not even about being like an addict.
No,
it's like I could listen to the upbeat song about about asking for help, but not.
So now he's making you work.
Okay,
Now they're making you work.
beginning part is really hard, and he's making you work really hard, and they're making you work really hard, and then there's a shift in the song. There's a shift in the middle of the song, and then it goes to distance, long
Distance has a way of making love understandable. Oh, distance has a way of making love understandable. Oh, Jeff.
But this is my confusion a little bit with the lyrics, and I don't know. I think he's saying long distance has a way, or distance has a way.
What?
So there's something of
So,
kings and queens.
in fact, distance makes love more difficult than ever. The
Yeah.
cures over radio waves, transmitted voices of a lost love,
Mm-hmm.
do little to make love more sane. Tweety finds himself confused and hurt, detached from the one thing he hoped to hold on to.
Right. So and again, by the way,
That's the life of an artist.
especially
we
a
go on
traveling
the
artist.
road.
You go on the road. It's especially in 2002, pre-smartphone, pre-FaceTime, pre all that stuff.
You're out of sight, out of mind. You're in a
Sure.
different world, and you're battling your own battles. Like, this is what's difficult about being an artist and a performer, and leaving someone behind, or even your family and your kids. Our work is fun, appears to be fun to the outside world, but it's hard. It is hard work to go stand on a stage and make a crowd laugh. You feel the pressure. You're trying to do new material. You could always fail in front of an audience. The whole day, even though
You're
you're
thinking
not,
to yourself, are we going to sell enough tickets? Are they going to be like, we got to promote this thing. We got to make sure it
You're
gets out.
doubting yourself, even though you've done this for the last
A million times.
Yeah, you've done it a million times, but this is the one that's just gonna hate you.
You're going to eat it, and you get through that night, and yes, it's fun, and people are laughing, and they're hanging out with you afterwards, and they're posting pictures on Instagram and all that stuff about you. And to an outsider, it could look like you're just out having fun, but really you're working super hard, and it's hard to be away. But then it is kind of fun. It's a very complicated thing, and so I do think that distance has no way of making love understandable.
And then it has a way of making love completely understandable, because if you do love somebody and they're back there, you're like, I had this whole experience and this was great, but really,
I can't wait to get
I
home.
want to be back in this kitchen and I want to be with my wife.
Or if they're able to be supportive of you in that moment and just be psyched for you.
there is like your love for them bursts through in an unbelievable way.
completely.
So truly awesome.
And then it goes to war.
War on War, which is one of my favorite songs.
So good.
They're going to listen to the intro. I want everybody to hear the intro real quick, because it does how it just picks up. You've heard it a million times from philosophers, from spiritual guides. You have to learn how to die if you want to be alive. Okay, which I love that. So let me ask you guys, both of you, tell me about a moment that you got to realize how precious life was. Like, what has put life into perspective? For me, it was like the car accident that I was in. I was
Yeah,
able
oh my
to.
God, yeah.
It didn't happen right away. It happened 6 years later.
It's amazing.
But I had to almost die and then 6 years later put myself through hell for the next 6 years, and then to be able to have that breakthrough. So where have you guys? Was it having kids? Is there a moment? Have you almost died? Is there something that?
I mean, it's.
I know it's a heavy
Look,
question.
it's a heavy question. Our father was like a huge part of our lives, and then he died in 2009. And
Yeah.
he was not a healthy person. It is miraculous he lived as long as he lived. He lived to be 67. That is, for that dude, for as unhealthy as he was, just in terms, wasn't a smoker, wasn't a drinker, just ate terribly.
That
like
St. Louis
overweight.
pizza.
Yeah.
Just why do you have cheddar on it?
yeah,
What
it's
the
like-
fuck is up with that?
It's Provel, which is a mixture of mozzarella, provolone, and Clydesdale jizz. All right. So anyway, as a bonding agent to keep it together. Here comes the king. Here comes the king of the run. Budweiser. So he just was. He was a lovely, amazing, great dad, great person who believed in us and believed in what we were doing, and himself took a huge chance when we were in high school, bought the family business and went $1 million in debt because he was like, I bet on me that in 10 years I'll pay all this back. He paid it back in 7 years. He's like, 'cause I'm gonna work my ass off because I love this. And he wasn't a guy who was like, I'm out running marathons. No, he loved the business because he knew people and he would travel around and talk to
He
people.
liked being the boss.
He loved being the boss, and it was just him in his element in so many great ways. So it was just very. So when I think he saw what we were doing with ourselves, that the product that we were selling is ourselves,
Sure.
and the chance that we took was on ourselves, and the bets we took were on ourselves, and I think he really loved it. When he died, that was like. We knew it was coming because he was not well. He had cancer, and we had 2 years to sort of prep ourselves for what was going to happen. And
It's never easy.
It's never easy, and you hate to lose him. I was happy that he was done suffering, but like it made you say that there is an end to this.
My wife and I lost a baby like pretty deep into a pregnancy, like so much so that my wife actually gave birth to the baby.
Oh, man.
In our house, like it was hanging out of her. I mean, it was so intense.
Oh,
and
man.
rushed home, and we had to go to the hospital. I saw our little baby girl, and she didn't make it, and it was heartbreaking and intense. And my wife has created an entire thing around it, and since then
You told me about this
based
when
on
we had our talk.
yeah, she really has created something beautiful that's helped other women and people who have had losses, and she's really turned it into something beautiful. But I realized in that moment, I didn't know if we were ever going to have another child again, and fortunately we were able to. And I just dropped my daughter off at school today, and I feel very lucky. There's a big gap between my kids' ages because of this, but it's our reality. But it was like, no, it doesn't always go the way you plan it.
Yeah.
And no, it doesn't. It doesn't. When things like that happen and you don't expect them to happen, you are thrown for a loop. Like when our dad was passing, it was imminent. Like when phone calls would happen at night or at different times, I was like on guard and preparing myself for that end. I did not expect this to happen. This wasn't a person in our lives, but it was a hope and a future that you imagined, and it died in that moment. And it was hard, and it was super hard, and I was aware of that. And I do think that songs and things that speak to that, like I understood it in like a deeper way, and it definitely has like informed the way I understand how precious.
Also, I tell my kids, like, when we talk about death, my daughter just lost a fish. Not a big deal, but like
That's heavy for
3 years. She had a beta fish, and we buried it. And always I tell them,
beta fish lasted 3 years.
3 years,
You got
dude.
your $8 worth.
Well,
I'll
I
tell
said,
you that
listen, I
much.
said, thank you, Petco. No, I said, things can't live forever.
Yeah.
Things can't live forever. This is what I tell my kids. If people live forever, then we wouldn't be in this house, because the people who lived in this house at the
Would
very
still
when
be
it was built,
here.
they would still be here. Like, things because if there isn't an end to things, then you won't appreciate the things while you're here.
Completely.
And so with the death, you got to learn how to die, because living then is so much better, and that's what this song
That's
is essentially saying.
That's a bookmark right there,
Yep.
man. That's definitely a period. All right, let's move on to the next song, which is actually, listen, if I do
Jesus,
this,
Etc.
Jesus, etc. But this song, Rolling Stone ranked it 67th on the list of 100 best songs of the 2000s.
I think it's an unbelievable song. It is also the song that when you go to a Wilco concert, you are acutely aware this is the song that all the people who are just barely Wilco fans know every
this
word
is
of. This is every girl who's like annoying person who's like, Jesus, don't cry. You can't rely.
So I saw
on me.
Tweety
Like, singing it to their friends.
I saw Tweety live at Largo solo, in last December, and the guy Michael at Largo came out and he said the best opening speech. He's like, "Look, here's the deal. I know you guys love these songs. I know you know all the songs. You gotta shut the fuck up. No one wants to hear you sing it. Nobody came here to hear you sing these songs."
I took my
Tweety said that.
No,
the guy
Michael,
who-
the guy who's the manager who runs
manager of
Largo.
Largo.
Oh.
So
And then Tweety came out and he was like, "I look out there and I see you guys, and I realize that I probably wouldn't be friends with any of you." It was the funniest thing that he ever said, and the crowd bristled, and he could tell they were bristling, and I couldn't tell if he was being funny or if he was like being honest and testing the waters. And so over the course of the night, he started to walk it back a little bit. He's like, "Yeah, maybe I'd hang out with some of
You guys are all right.
Yeah, he's already.
No,
he's like, "That's more about me than it is."
But by the
about
way,
you."
Michael was right. I mean, the guy from Largo. So I took my oldest daughter, to see Langhorne Slim at Largo, and the guy behind me was singing the whole time, and I just wanted to be like, "Shut the fuck!" I did not pay to hear your crappy voice. All I want to do is hear this guy right now.
I want to hear his crappy voice.
Thank you.
But
Jeff
Jesus,
really. he does
but
sing
Jesus
right
Don't
well.
Cry
I
is
love
a,
voice.
Jesus Don't Cry is a, or Jesus Etc. is a song that I sang to my kids, like because I don't know lullabies, and when I would hold
That's
my
a good
kids when they
one.
were
I like
little,
that.
and I'd sing that to my kids, and like there's such beautiful moments like in that song.
First of all,
Our love is all we have. Our love is all of God's money. Everyone is a burning sun. I mean, that's just saying.
Well, by
that
the way-
love. That's it. That's all this is. It's everything
you were
we just said in the
right
last
about
thing.
the stars. You were right about the stars.
Yeah.
Everyone is a burning sun.
This and Ashes of American Flags are the two songs that I mean, and I don't
I
want
have
to
a
skip
great-
over Jesus, etc. But these are the two songs that everybody thinks is about 9/11 because of a lot of the imagery that they
interesting.
build. Oh, dude, this was written before all of that. Yeah. The guy from Rolling Stone wrote, "It's calming down the redemptive power of love and music with verses that anticipated the imagery of 9/11." And I mean.
anticipated the imagery.
What is it? What is it? Where isn't there a lyric in it where it's like
You can't rely on me,
buildings, like tall buildings,
Skyscrapers scrape, voices escape,
Yeah.
singing sad songs
Yeah.
to two chords.
Strung down your cheeks, bitter melodies, turning your orbit around.
There is something in this song that is like, I love how effortless his vocals are. I love how he's not pushing.
Well,
it.
that's every song.
That's every
He's not
song,
pu-
but
some
he's-
songs he pushes.
Sometimes he really pushes, but I would say this song more than any, because people are like, how do you compare? Who's Tweety in the who's he comparable to? A lot of people say Bob Dylan.
There is something beautiful. This song has a moment, and certainly with the strings when they go to plucking instead of simply playing, and there's something so beautiful and transcendent about this song that Nora Jones does a live cover of this that is incredible,
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
She's very cool.
I
gal.
love her version of Black Hole Sun.
Yes,
Have you heard that?
yes.
That's haunting.
Unbelievable.
Man.
That's this is like the midpoint of the album almost, and they
It turns definitely. There's a turn.
and they release you in this. They
Yeah,
give you
it is.
something.
It is
comforting.
like a quieting, comforting moment. So I love this song.
So I feel like it's because this is about like, turning your orbit around back into happiness. Is about self care.
Yeah.
So what kind of self care measures do you guys take besides going
Meditate.
to burning? Meditate.
Yeah, meditate.
That's I knew
I
that.
meditate every morning for 22 minutes, and again was something that I wasn't.
We got three meditators.
I got
in
Jay
here. I
into
didn't
it.
meditate this morning
Randy-
because I had to do my final prep.
So
on
we were
this,
the
but-
reason why
You know when I
couldn't.
do it now?
That's why I'm a little nug champa, nug champa, nug champa. That's not my.
Yeah,
I would never
it's
tell
just,
you guys
don't
my
you
mantra.
dare tell me my mantra.
I would never.
So
My mantra is
I
Burger
did it.
King.
I did it a while back. I got into it, and the guy who kind of helped figure it out and helped me figure out mantra and all that other stuff. Really good dude. Teo Burkhardt is his name. Just a brilliant, sweet. If one of our friends did it, it doesn't feel outside the circle of people. And I always felt like meditation is like masturbation. The second you figure out that it's in your power to give yourself pleasure or
You're like, oh, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
And so
Every day, twice a day.
every morning, I set my alarm for 6 a.m. And what I used to do was, because I got to get my kids up, and I do the morning. I let my wife take it off, and I do the morning. Get their breakfast, get their lunches, make the coffee, put the dishes away from the night before, get the dog fed, everything, get them ready, get them going. I know I'm going to do that. I got to start at 6:45. The old me would have snoozed it all the way to 6:45. Now at 6, I sit right up in my bed, close my eyes, support my neck. It's not sitting back, and I do 22 minutes Okay, then I go back down to sleep until 6:45. So the 23 minutes I get from 6:22 to 6:45, those 23 minutes are the deepest sleep I have the whole night. You do have to take care of yourself because it's the old dumb thing of.
I mean, I'm
they
doing
say-
a ton of cocaine.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I'm so glad I dropped the drink.
Literally, there's just like I don't want to do anything.
Snorting- I am
All right, give me a nummy real quick, just a gummy nummy.
Wait, so is the next song Ashes of American
It is
Flag?
Angel. We call it Angels. Ashes of American
Okay,
Flag.
can I talk about this out?
And all the falling leaves.
Please.
Filling up shopping
This
bags.
is a song which I've gotten to understand. Me and David went back and forth. Big Black Beautiful David. The song is about renewal, reincarnation, and rebirth.
Nobody gives a fuck.
I love this subtle noise.
Nobody listens to poets.
I love the subtle noise. There's just this song. This song is it's just
Jangling
it's,
keys
and
almost.
this is the culmination I feel of the where the rift, and you can see it in the movie, the rift between Jeff Tweedy
and Jay Bennett.
Jay Bennett came in. Because
I think Jay wanted more songs like Jesus, etc., and Tweety was like, "It's got to go this way." And I'll say this:
no, I think
Actually,
no,
I think
it's the other way.
Do you really?
Dude, Jay Bennett.
Jay Bennett put all this extra layers
This is
into
a
stuff.
Jay
Okay.
Bennett record more than it's a Jeff Tweedy
Wow.
record. When Jeff, listen, I'm not putting down Jeff Tweedy's
No.
songwriting. I think he is a fucking
Genius.
he's a genius at what he's doing at alt country. And but I'll tell you the truth, I think Jay Bennett is this band's Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead.
Wow.
If this is this pre-record, so if this is their OK Computer, A Ghost Is Born is not their Kid A.
No.
Do you see what I'm saying?
It dropped off. Yeah, because Jay Bennett wasn't there.
Jay
I buy
Bennett
that.
left.
I buy that.
Jay
I
Bennett
buy
was
that.
gone.
So here,
Fuck yeah, Jay Bennett. I mean, all my lies are always wishes.
All my lies are always wishes. And
It's a reoccurring theme for him. He's
Always.
just, this motherfucker lies. I know I would die if I could come back
back to
new.
that,
All right, so let's ask you guys this question: Do you guys lie to influence the future? And is that
Always.
wrong?
yes, we lie to ourselves. I lie to myself and be like, "This is gonna work out."
But you,
I mean, I tell lies.
I mean,
yes.
look, you got
but
to.
you don't you know it. Like I know it. Even though
I believe
I
it.
don't know it.
Here's the thing.
I
Here's the
don't know
this is a subtle
You know
difference.
it. It's
I believe
there. It's
I
still
believe in
there.
ourselves, and I believe in everything that we're doing. I don't believe in the system that the system. Will,
I don't believe that either. But
so-
I feel like that we can. I have to believe that this project is going to go somewhere.
Yep.
I have to believe that, and I do believe it. And I did believe that the goddamn Comedy Jam would go somewhere.
And it did.
But it did. But what I'm saying is, I just had to stop playing by everybody else's rules
Right.
and just say, I'm going to create my own lane. If they don't want to fuck with me, I got to fuck with myself because I'm my only fan. All right, let's get to probably the catchiest song on the record.
I'm the man who loves you.
Heavy metal
Oh, no, heavy metal
drummer.
drummer.
Number 7. Heavy
I
metal.
sincerely miss those heavy metal bands. Used to go see by the landing in the summer. Which you guys have been to.
That's
So
what
we
Cleats-
mentioned
The Sklar brothers went down to see Jimmy Cliff. They took a joint and they smoked it in the summer. They smoked it in the alley. And then Randy got sick and Jay went in.
Jay went in. They were the only.
Then
white
the dad picked them up because they had a flat tire. And then they got food on the way home.
Oh, they stopped off at a Noggles. They stopped off at a Noggles. They stopped off at. It was
I don't
so.
even know what a novel is.
Noggles was a like Taco Bell type place that had a giant like weird roof to it.
But so here's the deal. You know, this song is for us. You know, it is the poppiest song on the album. But it does, of all the songs on this album, because we grew up in St. Louis, because we went down to the landing in the summer, because we know what Jeff is talking about, and probably did it in the same
era as him.
Sure.
Maybe
Maybe
he's maybe like 3 or 4 years older than us, 5 years older than us. But like that was like.
The landing in the summer was this special place. It was in St. Louis, a city that didn't have a lot of cool places in the 80s. You know, to go down to Mississippi Nights and see bands and see, you know, in his case, heavy metal drummers. In our case, you know, roots bands and stuff like that meant something to us. There was a feeling that you had escaped St. Louis. I know he came from across the river. He was in southern Illinois, but that's still part of the St. Louis area. But like to come there you had this moment where like these national acts, these bands are coming through St. Louis.
Sure.
They're helping you escape whatever mundane
Or
crap.
show you what the outside world is.
Yeah,
And for
oh,
those kids, he grew up poor. Definitely grew up poor.
I mean, we grew up lower middle class. That's where we grew up. And the fact that like we could escape down, because a lot of kids at our high school, we came from the suburbs, they wouldn't go downtown. they wouldn't go to these places. We're among the few people who actually ventured outside of our little community and went down to these places. And you'd go down there and you were like, there's artistry coming in through here from other places. And that's, to me, what this song always reminds me of, regardless of how popular
It's like a summer music festival.
It's about your innocence. It's about how beautiful it is. What do you do in the later part of your life to keep that innocence that you had in your childhood?
I actually take a lot of cues from my wife, who followed the Grateful Dead around for went to 165 Dead and Jerry shows. After high school, she lived on a converted school bus in Santa Cruz and worked
kibbutz?
and worked on a sauerkraut factory and
Did you say a sauerkraut factory?
organic sauerkraut factory and cleaned hot tubs. And she lived on a converted school bus. So she has this desire to want to access all those things. And I'm always like, I better listen to her because she does.
She's
know
got
what-
it right.
She's
She's
got
got
it
it
right.
figured out.
And so I do follow her lead.
For me, I actually, one way that I stay I love the innocence young, is sharing with my kid, with my son especially, before he goes to sleep. We always have little moments where I'll play him comedy sketches on YouTube, like old, just like Key
Which
and
is the
Peele
best.
stuff. For him to watch him find something funny that I find funny, or find something new, or see things that I've loved my whole life through his eyes.
Amazing.
It is amazing. And then sometimes we will lay in bed and just do improv, like little things where I'm like, let's do an improv before we go to sleep instead of telling a story. And I'll just be like, so it's weird that you don't sell surfboards here anymore. You used to sell surfboards. And he's like, yeah, we forgot. We stopped doing that.
Oh, that's
all of a sudden,
great.
now we're into a little scene. And so that is something
Next
that
thing
I
you know,
do.
you guys are performing on Saturday night,
But he's
midnight
good.
show at
Well,
UCB.
he understands it. He understands it.
You better. Jason's yelling at his kid. All right, don't fuck this up like you did last Saturday.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Stage
Zip.
dad.
Yes and. He's like
Yes,
a
and.
yes and. You want me to
Yes,
give you a no but?
No,
I'll give you a yes and.
But I agree with that. I mean, one of the things that's really brought the innocence back into my life is having a dog. And I know I'm not comparing it to having a child,
No,
but just
but
the
yes.
fact that I look at that dog and I just go, hey, David, and I just start talking in Lecca language.
You get down on the ground with it.
Or you see the dog, you do something for your dog that brings the dog joy. Maybe you take it for a walk. Maybe you buy a special treat. Maybe you do lay down and just petting the dog. There's a moment where you're like, there's innocence here, there's beauty here, and I'm going to enjoy it on the same level.
So I want you guys to hear this. So I want the audience to hear this, because this is before we move on to the next song, I want to tell you what I think the star of this song is. It's not the lyrics, it's not anything, but it's literally the bass line in Heavy Metal Drummer. That slide.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That slide, in my
slide
opinion,
bass is just
the
beautiful.
slide of
I mean, that's amazing. And only someone who knows music would fully understand. Like, I love that you picked that out because
and then the drums with this little like half beat. That
What's
to me
interesting?
I love
about
at the
the
very
drums,
end of the
Well,
song.
the drums. The song is called Heavy Metal Drummer, and it is very clearly a drum machine playing in this song in a lot of parts. Don't you feel?
Well, the beginning they have that dropout. That's the part that Jay Bennett and because there's no break in between Ashes of American Flags into Heavy Metal Drummer, so it just goes into the noise. Then it drops. You hear that weird electronic drum beat, and then you hear the actual piano, and the whole song comes in. Funny thing, and before I move on to the next song, I was going to do this.
it sounds a little like Ice Ice Baby at the end of the song.
So people are saying that this is about the Heavy Metal Drummer. This is about Bobby Blotzer of Rat.
Oh, nice.
Because he has bleach blonde hair and a double kick drum.
Wow, nice.
And I'm pretty sure he was stoned.
Maybe, yeah.
Let's move on, because the next
Moving
song
on.
to me feels the most like a Beatles song. It feels. This is "I'm the Man Who Loves You."
I'm the
correct?
man who loves you.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful song. This
It's my
is
favorite.
Horns. The horns in this song are just beautiful. It's
The intro is my favorite part of the
Guitar,
song. Just
heavy
the
metal.
You're like, is it going to start?
Wow, wow, wow.
But then it sounds like you're starting a car. Is that going to start this car? And then
it goes all acoustic.
Is black and white and something.
Feels like we're on a marching band, right? Like we're in a marching band.
I was feeling the silver. You, I couldn't tell if to bring my art the way I wanted when I started writing this letter to you. If I could, you know, I would just hold your hand and you'd understand. I'm the man who loves you.
which is about. All right, so let's get into
So I
this.
sent this. I put this song on a mix for my wife, and I think it was.
Of course
like,
you did.
It was when
You-
I was just dating her and courting her.
You
and I
didn't know
think-
what to say on paper. So
I
you
mean,
had,
I
you
let
wanted to
someone
go
else-
and
you
hold her
made
hand.
mixtapes. You made
made
mixtapes.
No. But that's what we did. That's what you did, and that's what he's saying in this song. He's like, listen, I can't. He's like, I can't write how I love you. I can't write like what I'm going
just
through.
am
but
the
he's
man
like,
who does.
Yeah, but I love you, and he's like, so if you, but I can show you. So get over here
And let me hold your
let me
hand.
hold your hand.
and I'll show you that I love you.
Yeah.
And
Make you
it is-
understand.
All right, so Pod Kettle Black, I think it rips. I love this song so
God, it
much.
feels like you're on an ocean, like just riding the strings, and you're riding the tops
And
of
there's
waves.
like a moment where they pull everything away and they just have that ching 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 ching, that little like shaker in there, and that's
it's
like
great.
the beginning of it. It's
Caught
so-
in a
Tied in a knot, but I'm not
Not
gonna get caught in the Pod Kettle Black. It's about being a hypocrite.
Yep.
It's about just calling somebody out. So, what ways are you guys hypocritical?
I'm probably hypocritical a little bit politically. I mean, I definitely am trying not to be, but there's like a moment where I'm like, oh, it's okay if like the person's a bad person, but they come from the left. Because I'm like, well, at least their values are in the right place. Well, that's being a little hypocritical. I wish I was better about that. I wish I could call it out more.
Sometimes I'm hypocritical with my kids. Like, I'll just get really mad at them about acting a certain way, and I realize my job is to make them better people and whatnot. But
or
then,
tell them like, hey, you're not doing drugs. Like there's part of you where you're like, hey, I don't want you to do any drugs because I'm fearful of you being too young and being able to handle it, when I myself will.
I've
smoke
started to change the discussion with them and say, like, you're not ready. You can't handle it, and like later in life we can talk about it, but right now you're just not ready. And so, again, you worry about like your kids getting addicted to things and this and that. But I think for me, like just telling them, I get mad at them for behaving a certain way, and then here I am just all of a sudden like laying the hammer down on them in ways that because I can, because I'm bigger,
Sure,
because I'm
sure.
more authoritative. And I'm like, well, that's not, I can get it right and I can kind of win this little battle right here, but what am I doing? Like, that is hypocritical. Like, I got to find a different way to handle this. Now, it's always good to show the boundary and be disciplinarian, but there are definite times on a daily basis when I need to not be hypocritical.
No,
Yeah.
completely.
Pot calling the kettle
Pot Kettle Black, this song is just so beautiful, and it ends so beautifully. It just comes to a crescendo with like strings. and every song is a comeback. Every moment's a little bit later.
Yep.
You talk about beautiful songwriting. Like, that is the most simple, most obvious thing that someone can say, and yet it means everything. It reminds me a lot of Hemingway. When you read a Hemingway passage and a Fitzgerald passage, those guys were
Fitzgerald was like a beautiful,
Long, flowery-
muscular prose that
yeah.
goes out of.
Hemingway would write, when Hemingway had writer's block, and this is what I remember this. I took a class at University of Michigan from a guy who hung out with Hemingway, knew Hemingway. And he said when Hemingway would have writer's block, the one thing he would do is he would sit in his room, whatever country he was in, he would stare at the wall, and he would try and write the most true thing he could.
Most honest.
The most true statement he could write, and then everything would spring out of that. And that's funny because when we talk about being stuck, being able to write comedy, you say, well, what's the truth that I know?
I've never even thought. I want to do that from here on. That's how I'm going to
What's the
start.
truth? That when you feel blocked, be like, what's a super truth in my life right now?
Wow.
And you start out of that, and then believe in it. or
Here's the
not,
truth: women be shopping.
Women be
Black people do sleep like this.
White people
and
be
white
sleeping
people
like
sleep
this.
like that.
Jay and I saw this documentary. It was a Tweety documentary about
him
him
doing
being on
live
solo, and so I think he was at like I want to say Portland at the Crystal Ballroom or somewhere. Maybe he's in San Francisco. I can't remember. Like, they basically show this whole concert, and he's in the concert and he's playing, and there's some women that are just talking in the middle of a very soft acoustic song, and he stops. Okay, and as performers and comedians, this moment
moment.
made me love him so
Yeah.
much more. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He stops the whole concert. He's like, "What are you doing? Why are you here talking during this thing right here? You're kind of ruining it for everybody around you. Go outside, get the fuck out of here. Like, don't come in here. This isn't about you. This is about you because it's about everybody collectively enjoying this." But he has license to do that because he writes songs like this. And so I'm like, don't talk, because what if you always worry about like when people are like drunk in a comedy audience, like I was helping you, and you're like, no, we didn't ask you to do that. We didn't write our bit being like, okay, and then a drunk person in the crowd says something here, and then we go on there.
I was helping you.
I was helping you. You're like, no, you weren't helping me.
All right, here's the big question. What song do we cut from this record to make it a perfect album? What song needs to go?
I mean,
I'd cut the second to last song. That was my thing.
yeah.
I'll cut Poor Places. I don't think you need it, but that's just me. And
I think the others, yeah.
that's the one I would cut. Who
right.
do you think? What do you think?
I probably Radio Cure.
Radio
It
Cure,
just is that really just drags for me.
Yeah.
All right, but you guys want to do a few facts and then we'll get you out of here?
Sure.
Okay, I gotta sing it.
Fact.
Who wants some facts? I keep singing that song. Give me a different one to sing facts to.
Jason and Randy, here come the facty facts. Here are the facts, and here are the facts.
Here are the facts.
I
First
fell in
fact,
love
this
with an
album.
answer. I fell in love with an answer. I fell in love.
First fact is this album was supposed to come out on September 11th, but then something happened. I think it was the Michael Jordan press conference that he was going to be coming back to be a Washington Wizard.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or I just think that the whole documentary was about how their album dropped and they sold it again. They sold it twice.
That's the second fact is that this album was originally made and they were paid $84,000 to make it from Warner Brothers Reprise. And then this will blend into the second fact, because of a merger between AOL and Time Warner market share value had dropped, so they lost about a 5% in the mid 90s. So the executives ordered that 600 jobs get terminated, and one of them was Howie Klein, the president of Reprise Records, and he was the guy that backed them. He was like their biggest believer, which is going to bring into a question, because I can say it. It's the same situation that happened at Comedy Central with Gary Mann. He was our biggest supporter.
Sure, it's happened to us.
What project did you believe in that somebody believed in? And either they went away or just the project that you believed in.
So our first show, we had a show on MTV called Apartment 2F in 1997.
Why does that sound familiar?
Galifianakis was on that show. Stephen Colbert was on the first episode of that show. The Amy Poehler and UCB were on collectively. Jeff Ross was on the show. Who did stand up on the show? Bill Burr did that show.
Patton Oswalt, Arch Patrice O'Neill, may rest in peace.
Exactly. All these, like Jim Norton, all these people did stand up on it. Amazing. Michael Showalter was a cast member. Amazing show. Our executive in charge of it was Lisa Berger. She's amazing. She's out here now, and I don't know where she works now.
For a while, and then Brian Graydon came over from Comedy Central, the executive who developed developed South Park,
and
came over to MTV.
10 episodes into our first 13 episode season. Brian Grazer came in, and Lisa Berger was like, "Fuck this! I'm not having anybody over me." She left, and then he was like, "We are not doing shows that aren't like destroying."
Is that your Yankee Hotel Foxtrot?
I don't know about
What's
that.
your Yankee
Cheap
Hotel?
Seats. Cheap Seats.
I love that so
Cheap
much.
Seats was
Those
our
are Yankee
show, and they ended. They closed Classic down.
Yeah.
We had 77 episodes. We wanted to
we
do
want to do
100.
100 episodes of that show. We did 77. So
That's
I mean,
fucking great.
We do
It's still
appreciate that.
great.
It's amazing.
All right, I got two. This one's kind of funny. Jeff Tweedy converted to Judaism for his wife. I just like that one.
Did he do that?
It says Jeff Tweedy converted to Judaism.
I love him even more.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher haolam lecha dodi lecha dodi lecha dodi. Also, I love this fact right here. So, Jeff was about to attempt his first solo record, but he was thwarted because he decided to form a band with his son instead. All right, now here is the question.
Called Tweety.
No, are your kids talented?
My son's more musically talented than me.
I don't know. I can just say that my daughter, who's 13, who did Groundlings this past year, and she's I think she's a talented actress. I've told her you need to be a director because you need to put yourself in things, and you need to take control of the situation, because sitting around and waiting for people to call you, not good and not fun, and I can tell you that's going to be a rough life. But if you get into control of the stuff that you're doing, I think she is talented. I really do. She is. She's got great instincts. She cares a lot about it, and she feels. I'm like, you feel, and you're an emotional person, so you are going to be great. And so, I mean, who knows where it goes, and I am certainly not going to push her where she's going. And then my youngest daughter is like a super talented gymnast, like super talented,
She
like
is.
plays 5th in the region, went to
Wow.
Salt Lake City for her age. And I kind of love being like, because I hate all the other gymnastics parents. I like the girls, the parents in our gym, but like you go out and I just hate them all. And I'm like, you come
get
from a
it.
different place, man.
My son's really good at Fortnite. Thanks, guys. That's our show.
That's our show.
There we
Good
go,
night,
and then
everybody.
we're gonna close it with this, with the Where Are They Now? This is written by the big black beautiful David Ross. After the fall and rise of Wilco through the release of their pivotal album Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, they let their bandmate Jay Bennett go. Jay Bennett played a plethora of instruments on this album, and I truly believe that without his songwriting, that sound that made this album unique, which was very much equivalent to a wave crashing upon a beach, would be absent.
Yep.
And so Bennett from this earth, and so is Bennett from this earth.
He
because
died.
He died in 2009 from an overdose of painkillers. Meanwhile, the band lives on. They've released 6 albums. A Ghost is Born in 2004, Sky Blue Sky 2007, Wilco the album, The Whole Love, Star Wars, and Schmilko. All of which were nominated for a Grammy, but only Ghost is Born brought in 2 actual wins for Best Alternative Music Album.
So Yankee Hotel Foxtrot didn't win the Grammy.
Wasn't nominated for
Wow.
anything. Yeah, isn't
That's
that crazy?
good shit that
And on
year.
September 24th of this year, Tweedy is releasing the single Some Birds from his upcoming solo album, Warm. And in the end, this is I always ask Dave to write this question. In the end, I felt like this was all about Jeff Tweedy anyway from the beginning. Do you guys believe that?
I mean, I think the sentiments in the album were deeply personal to Tweedy, and you're seeing a person just lay themselves bare with all their problems and all their issues and all the things that they have through the music and through the songs and through the lyrics. But I agree with you now that Jay Bennett is the person who
I would say that
he took Tweedy's pain that he put through the lyrics of the song and literally amplified it with the beautiful layers of what he put in
So
there.
I'll compare it to a director and a DP. Okay, so I would say that Jeff Tweedy is Guillermo del Toro, and let's just say this album is Pan's Labyrinth. Okay, he knew what he was doing, and he helped. He wrote
had
it
a
and
vision,
he made
but
it, and he
someone
vision.
had to set
But
the
the
shots.
DP set the shots.
Lebetsky or that's
I don't
that
know who that
dude.
guy
It's
is.
that
Yeah,
dude that
yes.
was won like 3
Yes.
years in a row.
Yes.
So that guy created and set the mood and helped fulfill the vision of Guillermo del Toro. Without him, I don't know if you make the same movie. I don't know if it feels the exact same way. You got to give Jay Bennett the credit as maybe the DP, not the director. You give
because you're
you
like
give Tweedy the
has
director
Jay-
and the writer.
Between that time and there, did Jay Bennett ever like step out and
I liked
release-
his solo album. I liked.
I never heard
Gold.
it.
I think
I
that's
thought
name
the
of album.
saddest thing in the documentary was when he was like, "So he felt threatened by me," and then he leaves, and the next shot is of him playing in a bar
With no one.
with nobody in it, or at least we don't see the people. And his song didn't sound bad.
No, he's
but it's
good.
just like you have to start over. Especially he wasn't. If Jeff Tweedy wants to go solo, everybody knows. But Jay Bennett, who is this really
It's hard.
brilliant guy. I mean,
Brilliant.
in the
Brilliant.
documentary, I saw it, and through the reading that me and David have done, I saw that I feel like this album is good because of Jay. I think if Jay's not involved, this is just, it's just a Ghost is Born part 2.
Well, but I think Jeff Tweedy set it up on the tee, and then Jay
Sure.
Bennett was able to hit it out
Sure,
there.
I
And so,
completely
like,
agree,
could
yeah.
Jeff have set it up or hit it as far as he hit it if it wasn't teed up there? Obviously not. So Jeff Tweedy set it up on the tee, and then Jay was able to hit it.
This is fucking fantastic, guys. Thank you,
Dude,
guys.
it's- what a treat.
Jesus, don't cry. You can rely on me, honey. You can combine anything you want. I'll be around. You were right about the start.
I mean, that was fantastic. I just want to thank my brothers, Randy and Jay, for being so open and so honest on this podcast. I love those guys to death. So for all things Sklar Brothers, go to their website, supersklars.com, and you can find them on all social media, Sklar Brothers. Listen to their podcast, Dumb People Town, and View from the Cheap Seats, and you can find it any place you guys get your podcasts. Also, check out their special, Hipster Ghost. It's on Stars, and it's fantastic. On January 11th, In San Francisco at Sketchfest, they're going to be doing a live Dumb People Town at Cobb's. And this Thursday, so tomorrow night, they're going to be headlining Flappers Burbank, and you can find tickets on each respective site for Sketchfest and for Flappers Burbank, or you can go directly to their website. I'm also posting the track listing to their mixtape that they made for you guys on all social media and on all the music platforms, guys. And it's fantastic because this is two people making a playlist for you guys. Email the podcast at 500podcast@gmail.com and follow me at Josh Adam Myers on all social media. We also created a club for you. It's called the 500 Club, guys. Sign up for the 500 Club. You'll get merch, t-shirt, hoodies, live chats with me and my guests, and you'll also get the podcast a day early. Why wouldn't you want that? You should do it. Join the movement. The 500 Club is this shit. You can do it at the500podcast.com/club, and that'll give you all the details for our Patreon membership. So support the 500 because this takes a lot of work, and, you know, I got to pay these fucking editors, dude. Now, you just listened to Wilco from 2001. Now, here is an artist that is directly influenced by this album. From Cumberland, Maryland, close to where I grew up, we have Michael Now with Less Than Positive. I fucking love this song, guys, and I think you will too. All of his details you can find on our website. And if you guys were in a band and were directly influenced by one of these albums or artists and you want your music featured at the end of the 500, send your song to 500podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you put the album and the artist that influenced you in the subject, and we will hook your ass up, dude. Next week is Eurythmics Week with their 1983 release, Touch. So you guys got some homework to do. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. King of Fleece out.
Yes, it wasn't working hard enough. Now in the middle of the sun, I'm thinking about the universe. I think I know how it works, but I'm a bit less than positive. It's a crack you assume that I know anything about you. If I knew anything about you, I'm less than positive. Where was your watch when you needed to watch? Where was the tick and talk when you asked it to stop? Where was your mouth when you needed a smile? Oh, you gotta stretch it out. Been down for such a long time now. In the middle of the sun, I'm thinking about the universe. I think I know how it works, but I'm a bit less than positive. It's a crack you assume that I know anything about you. If I knew anything about you, I'm less than positive. In the middle of the sun, I'm thinking about the universe. I think I know how it works, but I'm a bit less than positive. It's a crack you assume that I know anything about you. If I knew anything about you, I'm less than positive. But if we don't But if we don't need nobody,
I'm going back to bed. Somebody get my tea ready.